Hi, my name is Sam, and I feel moderately lukewarm about playing D&D today.
You son of a. This is Chat Dragon, a talk show and actual play podcast about sci-fi, fantasy, and the world's most beloved game of make-believe, Dungeons and Dragons. My name is Jared, and I'm your host. I am a newspaper reporter by day and a dungeon master by night. I decided to start this podcast for purely selfish reasons, and that is to have a reason to talk to interesting people about interesting topics, all through the lens of D&D. Each episode, I talk to friends, family members, and tabletop role-playing creatives about this beloved hobby. The conversations are driven by dice, and the games driven by our imaginations. Hey everyone, this is Jared from the Chat Dragon podcast. I'm here today with my really good friend Sam. Sam and I go way back. We've known each other for probably over 15 years at this point. We first met in high school playing soccer, and today we're going to be playing some D&D. Sam, how are you today?
Hi, Jared. I'm doing great. I'm having a wonderful day. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Sam, I know who you are, but why don't you tell the listeners who you are? Fill us in.
My name is Samuel. Like Jared said, used to play soccer in high school with him. Did plenty of nerdy things of all sorts of gaming variety. And I'm somewhat new to D&D, I would say. But I find it to be interesting. I like the flexibility of it. And yeah, I'm kind of boring, so there's not a whole lot to add about myself. You can cut that out if you want.
Maybe. I think that's comedy gold. We might leave that in.
All right. Self-deprecating I can do.
Sam, so when did you first start playing D&D?
I think I first started like officially playing with you actually. I think you kind of showed me the way, and I started researching it a lot on my own. That's kind of what I do when it comes to games. Whatever I end up playing, I end up voraciously reading about. That's great in the D&D setting because there's so many books and there's a lot of YouTube videos made. My thing is always more about theory than actual practice. So I like learning about, the potential, possibilities, what you can do with a thing. I'm sure a lot of people listen to Critical Role or other podcasts. I listen to a few just here and there, but so far I've really enjoyed just learning about the complexities of the game, the intricacies, and the amount of effort that someone can put into developing a character. And then we've done a few campaigns where I've created a new character each time, and that's pretty enjoyable, besides like actually playing the character itself.
Yeah, we've done 3 campaigns, and I don't think any of them have kind of come to a conclusion. They've all kind of reached a untimely end for whatever reason. Yeah, I know some of the reasons, but
Yeah,
it's not for me to talk crap about people.
yeah, I think every group is different, and I think early on in the COVID cycle, I think for a lot of people, switching from in-person games to online is probably a unique experience for them, especially when they have their friend group already set up. I think for us it was interesting because we were trying to find friend groups from people we knew before. So it's not like we were going we were we were talking to D&D vets who enjoyed the online format, or we were talking to people we haven't spoken to in potentially over a decade, or we just met in the last month, like in person, like, oh hey, you want to try this out? Yeah, let's go for it. So and I think also with um, the timeline that we were given, people are kind of getting back to some semblance of normality. So people are getting busy again, and it's just hard to make time for it. But something that I've read and heard about multiple times is like not a lot of D&D games get to very high level. And that makes a lot of sense given that, you can't get everyone there to move ahead with the game. And I think that's kind of where we were at, where we would start up a new one with a group. A couple people couldn't make the next session, we would start a new group, and a couple people couldn't make it. And but I mean, I still had fun with everything that we did. It was a great creative experience, and it was great.
Yeah, currently we're doing Curse of Strahd, and we're playing with I guess how your wife's family,
Yeah,
basically.
it's like my extended family now. We it's similar to what we were talking about. I got married last year, and at the wedding, Jared was my best man actually. He gave a great D&D themed wedding speech, and I'm sure it confused a lot of people, but it also was hilarious for a lot of people who weren't even familiar with the format, and it was constructed in a way that I know there were people of an older generation who found it to be very comical because they definitely understood it, even though they have no experience with any tabletop or any other video game or any other formats. But it was really, Jared did a great job writing it, and it piqued the interest of some of my new family members. So we started a game up, and we've been progressing pretty well with it. I think lately it's been a little difficult because there was another wedding to go to, but I'm sure it'll pick up again. And I really liked the planar and or portal element of the campaign that you created. I think it lends itself to a really good group, to leading. I don't know how the best way to put it would be. It creates like a innate longevity where if people want to keep, like for example, we didn't start with Curse of Strahd. We started in a more Diablo-esque setting that Jared created for us, kind of as a pet project. And from there, we traveled planes to end up at Strahd, and I'm sure we'll travel planes again to maybe a sci-fi setting or maybe a more Tolkien-esque setting. But I'm looking forward to wherever we go.
Yeah, I guess just for the listener, because they won't really know what our campaign is about, but the characters belong to sort of like a organization that explores, I guess, yeah, like different dimensions or planes or what have you, and so they kind of go place to place, exploring, trying to kind of work for like a company that is interested in buying real estate or acquiring real estate in other planes and profiting to some extent. And somebody's supposed to be kind of like secretly a company man, not secret so secretly. Someone's supposed to be um, more business oriented, the company man person. The other people are supposed to just sort of be there, just doing it for maybe the sake of science or adventure or what have you. But I think um, that little tidbit kind of has fallen by the wayside, and I don't think anybody really cares about any of that anymore. So, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. This is definitely the longest we've played with a group so far, and I'm surprised because none of us are really in the same state except for uh, Krishna, who's your cousin-in-law, right?
Yeah, the best part, the most interesting part is that we might actually all be in the same state in a year or two, because they're moving a lot, and pretty soon one of them is going to be in the same state as you. My brother-in-law, one of my cousins-in-laws is going to be in the state I'm in, and I might move back to our home state pretty soon, hopefully. I would hope. So yeah, we might be able to actually do all of this in person, which would be great. I know we all have no problems with the digital format, with the tools that we've used so far and using D&D and beyond. And I know we've talked about using Fire, which seems beautiful and really cool to use. But we might be able to do it in person, which would be amazing, because I think that's what we all want.
Absolutely. And getting to know your Sudas family, I've really, grown to kind of consider them kind of, friends, not the
Right.
close friends because I just kind of met them a year ago, but
Yeah.
I definitely think about them now quite a bit more and see something and I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of, Jemu or
Yeah.
Shrita or Krishna or whoever. So it's been
Yeah.
great getting to know those guys. It's
Yeah.
great
I
because
think it has.
they're also they're so also well educated that if I have a question about a medical thing or a business thing, I know who to ask
Yeah.
about that stuff.
I think between the five or six of us, we have like almost every area of life covered. There's an expert in something, any direction you face, which is nice. Um, I'm looking forward to potentially doing something in person because um, having it was really great in a way for me as well to spend time with them playing D&D with them because I don't know how much time I would have spent during the COVID year that we've had to go through, getting to know them or talking to that my new family members from my wife's side, because they're pretty much all my wife's family members. So it's been really great because, like you said, you've been able to become friends with them, and I've been able to become more friends with them just by playing D&D, talking to them on the side. They're always like, "Hey, when's Jared down for D&D again? I really want to do it, but I hope we're not bothering him too much with all of our stupid antics or our silly requests or our silly, rule bending." Um, but I mean, I think that's the beauty of D&D. You get to kind of do what you want and play it the way you want to play it. And so it's been nice for me to meet that side of the family as well.
Yeah, I think I definitely love playing with those guys, and it's just sort of we're all so busy. I think with our careers, we each have
Hmm.
kind of careers that take up a lot of our time, and not being in the same state makes it all the more easier to kind of blow off like a D&D session because, oh, I have a meeting, I have this, I have that. I just, whereas I think if we're all meeting in person, it requires a little bit more commitment, to
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm not going to make it tonight. Um, it's kind of harder, I think, to do when you're like expected to show up to something. So, but we'll see. So, Sam, I don't know if you've listened to some of our past episodes. I know I've pre-recorded a few since um, pre-recorded a few already. But are you familiar at all with the format of our actual play?
I'm not. I do want to listen to those, but I literally just got back from one of their weddings, so
Yeah,
I haven't had
and
a chance to.
their weddings are like 2 week affairs, so it's
Yeah.
totally fair that you
I
would.
think I think you started it the week before his wedding when I was helping him prepare his family prepare stuff, and I think and I just got back a couple days ago, so um,
So, the way the actual play works is it's basically it's called the Sidekick. These aren't like super long playthroughs like maybe you're familiar with some of the other ones like Critical Role or Dark Dice or whatever, where it's like a 4 hour, 6 hour affair. I try to keep it kind of short and snappy, and the idea of the campaign is that you play a sidekick named Marigold Thundercrack. He's not really so much a sidekick as he is a bodyguard or a thug for hire, and he works for a guy named Todd the Heroic. Todd the Heroic is kind of what I would say consider like an Instagram influencer in like a D&D sort of world. I wouldn't say he's entirely stupid, but he's vapid. He doesn't always um, relate the best to the common man, but he's rich, he has money, and he wants to be portrayed as a hero. So, not really having the skills to be a hero, but having the looks and the marketing prowess to kind of make a name for himself. He at least was smart enough to hire you to kind of defend him and protect him as he goes on these adventures and creates a name for himself. And so, the idea of the sidekick is that each guest plays the exact same character. They all play the same person, so anything you do this evening will become, or it'll become the lore, it'll become the history of the character, and any actions, good or bad, will be something that the next player will have to immediately deal with. So, if you kill this character tonight, then that's it for this character. He's dead. So whereas if you go on to find 100 pieces of gold, then the next person will have 100 pieces of gold to spend. So does that make sense?
That does. It sounds like potentially his employer is a bard or want to be bard. It's kind of the feeling I'm getting. I'm sure some listeners aren't going to be happy with that, but you throwing the bard under the Instagram influencer kind of stereotype. And it sounds like I need to end the night where Marigold has no arms or legs. So do it.
Well, he's been put through his paces. So the last person who played him was doing a lot of combat type stuff, and he's definitely taken his licks at this point. He's been in and out of prison. He escaped prison only to go to another sort of prison to free his person. So, or his employer. So he's got a number of wounds. You might see in his general notes. It says has an infection, got cut.
Yes.
So it means he's poisoned. He has disadvantage. And we've been establishing lore throughout. My cousin established that he was a failed improv comedian. So I guess you can keep that in mind if you'd like. So if I could have you open Owlbear Rodeo, which should be, I believe, in our, for the listener, we have a Discord server we play over. I think it's in links for new guests. Possibly at the top. Yeah. I will get some music going, which the listener will not be the music that's on the podcast because I will have to take it out because it's copyrighted music.
Awesome. Wow, you have quite a lot set up here. That looks really cool.
Figure out what the commands are for this bot. Each bot has like their own way they accept commands. It's kind of annoying.
I do want to say, I love all the D&D virtual tabletops that I've seen so far. It's like really unique and interesting to see how each group has decided to go along with different ways of having a tabletop over the internet. And this one's really cool. I can see Todd the Heroic and Marigold Thundercrack hanging out. I also see a lot of guards and a lot of ruffians.
Yeah, for the listener, we use Owlbear Rodeo. It's what I've been using for the two campaigns I run separately from the podcast campaign. So the other campaign I'm running is with my cousin Jeff and my brother Trevor, which have already been guests on the show. And I don't know if you know this because I haven't really talked to you much lately, but they're like playing as temp, like they're temp agent. They work for a temp agency, but it's like an adventuring temp agency. So they just kind of like get like right now they're in the interview process, but the interview process is like this grueling like life or death sort of tournament that they have to kind of go through. And depending on how they do, they'll be hired in. And as I made them each, I borrowed some rules borrowed an idea from a game called Dungeon Crawl Classics. So they each play as like level 0, like peasants, people off the street with like no skills. And they had to create more than one character because somebody was guaranteed to die. So they had to like, they were playing two characters simultaneously. My cousin Jeff, his character is, I think one of his characters was so like disfigured and maimed that he finally just like threw himself into the fire to end it all. That kind of gets dark.
It is dark.
This is kind of supposed to be an all ages podcast, but well, real.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna read. I have this kind of like this previously, like explaining kind of what's been happening, and then like another little written thing that explains like what's going on currently. So I'm gonna just read this real quick, okay?
Sounds good.
So Previously on the Sidekick, after setting fire to the Black Eye Tavern in the port town of Cutlass Hollow, Marigold Thundercrack and his employer, Todd the Heroic, find themselves incarcerated and awaiting trial for their crimes. Marigold was lodged in the local jail along with several of the pirates he previously had dealings with at the tavern, including the pirate captain himself, Jason St. Josephine. Cellmates include the burned pirate Rudy Graves, who in a previous skirmish with Marigold found himself tossed into the fire and left for dead by their ruthless sidekick. The other person is the mysterious and intimidating Alejandro, a man that Marigold knew from his past as a failed improv comedian. After a series of bare-knuckle matches with the other inmates that were organized by the guards, Marigold finds his salvation when an enraged Alejandro goes into a berserker rage and creates enough of a distraction for Marigold to escape. The sidekick, Marigold, escapes with nothing but the clothes on his back, brass knuckles that he found, and a pirate's treasure map that he'd stolen off of an unconscious Jason St. Josephine. Marigold goes in search of his employer to free him, only to find that Todd has parlayed his celebrity and wealth to be put on house arrest at the Heaven's Rest Resort and Spa. Marigold, fighting his way through the spa, manages to fight his way through the guards to free his employer from incarceration. Now, the two men are on the lam from the law. Marigold has managed to create a poor facsimile of the local law enforcement uniform from the armor and sword he has stolen off of one of Todd's jailers. The hero, who Marigold saved, is not, however, so inconspicuous in the way he is dressed. Todd now finds himself a pauper, without weapons, armor, or a money purse. He is left with only a jeweled necklace around his neck and golden rings on each of his 10 fingers. So kind of what's been going on with the story. Actually, I gotta turn this down a little bit. This is quite loud. So what's been going on kind of with the story is how this all started is Todd and Marigold were at a bar and they were seeking passage to an island where they could go on like an adventure with this pirate. And they're kind of hanging out with the pirate, and Todd, he's kind of an idiot. He's trying to impress the pirate with a bit of machismo, so he acts kind of inappropriately with a local or like the waitress at a bar. And normally Jason St. Josephine, he's a pirate, so he's kind of a scoundrel. He doesn't really usually take offense to that sort of thing. He's probably been inappropriate before with other waitresses in other towns, other port towns. But in this particular town, this particular waitress, she was his half-sister. So he was offended, and it led to a brawl. And then eventually the tavern was caught fire because Marigold had set fire to it and had used that to his advantage to kind of beat up a bunch of pirates and escape with Todd, who was unconscious at the time. And then Marigold was in prison or jail awaiting his trial, and as I said prior, he kind of got in some jail fight. It was like in a jail fight club, and then he broke free, and then he freed Todd, who was kind of also awaiting his trial date, but at like a expensive resort. So, Sam, when we play this game, I like to borrow some rules from another game called Fate RPG. We use a few other little homebrew things that come from different rule sets, but that's probably the main one. And the way that works is we establish aspects for the scene that are things that you can use that just kind of create a sense of the scene. And if possible, when you roll your dice, if there's a way to use that aspect to your advantage for like a saving throw or an attack, then you can add +2. So to start, I guess, how would you describe this scene for the listener?
I'm sorry, which scene? Like the situation that Marigold and Todd are currently in?
Yep, the map that you should be looking at. It should be like a
looking at. Gotcha. Well, it looks like Todd and Marigold are on the edge of town. There's like a huge cavern or something that they're emerging from there. And it looks like it's a heavily guarded town, but it's got its fair share of rough alleyways with some individuals kind of loitering or just waiting to sneak up on someone. Definitely got some ruffians there. It looks like it's a coastal town next to a forest, and it looks like the docks are pretty heavily guarded too. But there is like a beach that some people could maybe slip through or slip past. And looks like there's also like a watchtower on the edge of town. And in the middle of town, there's like a giant statue of an angelic figure. I don't know if it's the town's religion, but it looks like it's in front of a church or some type of temple to that's having god or goddess, most likely goddess. The look of it. Yeah, and it looks like there's maybe an outhouse in their general vicinity. And from the sound of it, it sounds like, you know, Todd and Marigold are a little worse for wear.
Would you, I guess, you know, this is like a coastal town, like you said, so what are some of the, what's the air like, you know? Sometimes if I think of being near the ocean, I feel like it's...
So this is definitely like on an ocean port coast, definitely not like a lake or anything like that, so there's definitely salt in the air. From the look of it, it's not going to be too humid. It looks like it's going to be I mean, it's not going to be hot and humid. It looks like it's a more wintry kind of coast town, kind of like a Maine or you know, maybe like a crisp February morning. They can definitely smell salt in the air. They can definitely hear sounds of dock workers, you know, fishmongers. Sorry, I'm just noticing all the little things. I noticed the little cemetery. I just saw the lighthouse. I guess I was hyper zoomed in before, but it's quite a advanced town. It's not like a small port. This is a major shipping town, and I'm sure it has all the accoutrements that one would expect from that kind of place. It's probably bustling with people of all walks of life, and seems to be very well fenced from the outside against the wilderness.
Okay, so what about the ground you're on? Is this there are fish guts on the ground? Is it gravel? Is it cobblestone? What do you think the ground is made out of?
I think they have like cobblestone pathways through the main city. I think they're probably lightly scattered with snow. I'm not sure how well that tracks with the last few episodes, but that's kind of the image I'm getting. It looks like there are unpaved roads out of the city, but there is only one. And it looks like there are two beaches besides the major dock side area. I'd assume there's a lot of fish guts on the ground and seagulls in the air near the docks themselves, but given the amount of trees and forest nearby the town, I think it's like a fairly new settlement. I don't think it's been around for hundreds of years. I think this is like a new world kind of place.
Since there's salt in the air, do you think it's kind of corrosive? Do you think it affects maybe some of the metal, or like if there's like a railing kind of, or like some sort of metal thing on the outside of the building, do you think it's starting to rust or kind of age a little bit quicker because of it?
Yeah, definitely. I see some stonework done in various parts of town, but it seems like most of the town is just built from lumber, and so I can see I'm not an expert on construction, but I think maybe some of the wood might be a little warped from the salt and water content in the air, and it is, winter time, so I think there's probably a level of that. There's probably some smoke in the air too from, people trying to keep their hearts warm.
Okay. So we've established, I would say, a pretty good idea of what the setting is like. I have all these little notes. So for the listener on Owlbear Rodeo, you can create little sticky notes. And these sticky notes for Sam, for you, are just aspects of this setting. So some of these things might be more obvious than others that you might be able to use in a saving throw or combat in any sort of way. Some might seem less obvious. It's kind of up to you to figure out, or if you want, or even decide if you want to use these in any sort of way. Just maybe an example I'm thinking of is, say you push guard, which some of these guys in the blue, there's little guys in blue on the blue map, or on the map that are in blue armor. These are guards. They say you push them in the snow, or your intention is to push them in the snow so they slip. Then you can maybe add +2 to a push to see if, or like when you roll to your push, just to see if you get a better chance, because you're using the environment around you for something.
I like it.
Yep. And then to keep things simple for rolling, so I don't have to constantly say, come up with DC targets. There's a base target of 15, so that's just your average. If I say roll for whatever, 15 is the average difficulty in this area. Easy, if something would be easy, it says for the listener, it says on here, easy is 12 and hard is 18, just to keep things consistent and so we can keep things moving fast. So Sam, now that we've kind of gone through all of that, does any of this, do you have any questions before we get started, or do you think you feel, I guess, confident or ready to begin?
I'm ready to begin. I think we'll probably figure it out as we go. I'm pretty comfortable on the fly, and I think that was a good idea to make like a easy DC system, like kind of built into the map, and I kind of like the variable environmental role thing that you created. I think that's pretty cool and pretty nice for a creative person. I don't know if I'll be able to use it, but I still like the concept.
Okay. Well, just so I don't want to take all the credit, because the aspect thing that comes from Fate RPG, and then the target, and then the DC stuff system, that is from actually something our last guest, Hankerin Fernail, author of ICRPG, who we had on. That's actually something he created for his own RPG game. So I don't want to act like I'm this super original person, but I want the listener to know that I'm, give credit where credit's due. So
yeah, they're great ideas. I'd love to use them.
So to begin, you guys have just exited the Hollow Rest, or Heaven's Rest resort and spa. This is where Todd was on house arrest at. He was in jail because of stuff you had actually done, but he was unconscious. You guys were connected, and you broke him out of jail because in Cutlass Hollow, their economy is, it's based on these docks. These docks are kind of at the northern, I guess, or a little bit north of you, the docks. But before that, maybe a few years ago, they had caught fire. So and that affected their economy. So they're not very lenient on arsonists. So knowing that, having escaped prison, decided it was time for you to free Todd as well. Now you guys are both escaped prison. So now you guys are both wanted criminals in town. Again, are both wanted. And so for the listeners, there's a series of little people that are on the map. The ones in blue, these would be guards that are kind of looking for you, town guards. And then there are these other little people. These are actually pirates who are actually also looking for you. These are the pirates that weren't at the tavern the night of the fire, but they want revenge for what you've kind of done to the members of their pirate crew. So these are the pirates that were not put in jail. So kind of, it's up to you to kind of decide how this is going to go. But one thing's for certain is you're going to want to maybe, well, I guess it's up to you. I was going to say maybe not try to fight these guys, but it's up to you. They're just looking out. They're looking for you. You have like a makeshift guard armor guard's armor that you stolen off a previous guard at Heaven's Rest. So, Sam, now that we've kind of established the scene, we've went over the rules. How would you like to proceed?
Um, is Todd? Or I think Marigold should check with Todd and see how good he is at swimming, because it might be an option for them to try to swim around these threats, especially given the sheer amount of guards that Marigold can see patrolling the vast city. So I think he probably asked Todd what his feelings about trying to swim around these guys are.
Okay. Todd, if you looked at Todd, he's a handsome, kind of blonde, Adonis-looking character. But unfortunately, all his good looks and all his muscles, a lot of them are for show. They aren't gonna really win him any athletic competitions. So he can swim, but he's not the best swimmer. So he doesn't feel super confident that he would be able to swim too far. Just given his past, he got this body from, from just kind of hiring people. He's never really had to put a lot of work in. Maybe some of these things are magically. Maybe some of his biceps might even be the result of some magical enhancement, not really a training of any sort. So.
Okay, so he's kind of like the D&D equivalent of Barry Bonds over here. He's taking some juice. That was a good one. So let's see.
Zing.
I see that Marigold has a makeshift guard disguise on his person. Now, at the current state they're at, I assume Marigold needs to cure his poison at some point, or is that kind of a bleed out scenario, or is that just a low roll?
Over time, the poison might fade, but currently, he has disadvantage on just about any roll. If he didn't already from his burned hand or whatever have you. So, I mean, he could potentially find an antitoxin or something, but otherwise, it's going to take some time just to kind of get over it.
Okay, and their current mission is to. Is that specified? Are they trying to get somewhere, or?
I mean, there's no current mission, but I guess it would be assumed they're trying to escape town because they're wanted criminals at this point. But it's kind of up to you how to play it. The game the scenario is broad enough where you can kind of screw around and do what you want.
Sounds good. So, can Todd actually do any magic that he of his own? Does he have any magical prowess?
No, Todd, currently he doesn't really have much on him. In his mind, he thinks he's like broke, but he's got some jewelry on him still, but he's weaponless, and typically at least it was only shown in the first episode, because this is, but in the first episode, Todd, he drank a potion that kind of gave him some strength and allowed him to fight off some people, so he doesn't really have any weapons, and he doesn't have any like magic potions he can like drink down. He had his equipment basically taken off of him once he was arrested. So he's really concerned about being broke right now, and he keeps kind of yammering in your ear about needing to find a post office or something so he can send word to the family accountant to get him some money. The accountant kind of runs his trust fund or handles his trust fund, and his name is Dagon, and he just keeps whining about Dagon this, Dagon that. I gotta find Dagon. I gotta get word to Dagon. Meanwhile, his outfit is probably worth more than everything you have on. So
Got it. So, Marigold dons his makeshift guard disguise, trying to look as close to one of those fellow guards in blue as he can, and he turns to Todd and says, "Look, Master, I know you've been talking about this Dagon guy all day long. You've been talking my ear off about him, but I think I know a way for us to get some money. Would you like to put on a show?"
What kind of show are you talking about? Because the last time we did this, I wound up in bed with somebody I didn't really mean to wind up in bed with,
Well, isn't
and
that the best part of a show? The adoration afterwards.
yeah, but now she's like, every time I hear a word from her, she wants me to send her money and keeps telling me the baby's mine, and I'm just not I'm not ready to be a dad. So what are we talking about here? I need to know, what's this show entail?
Down the road, I see a statue to a goddess of some sort. If we can somehow make it there, and if you can put on a show that you are somehow blessed by that goddess, you could potentially gain favor in this town. I also see a potential post office. You'll have to actually let me know which number the post office is, because I see a lot of buildings.
It's right here, not far from it.
Oh, okay. But I know you want to send mail to Dagon, but that means we'll probably have to stay in town long enough to get that MoneyGram back. So we will have to somehow survive here with all these guards looking for you and me in a way. So how about we get to this post office, but on the way there, since I have this makeshift guards disguise, I'll act like I'm escorting you from your house arrest from the tavern.
Okay. So this guard right here, can you see him moving, Sam? I just deleted him.
Yes, I saw him
Vanish
from existence.
So that guard is a ghost.
One guard down.
Just kidding.
7 to go.
It's bad because it's like when I move him, the trash can shows up. If I zoom in. So, nope. He's gone! It's a magic trick, everybody. So the guard, he's moving, he's kind of doing his rounds, he's searching. So right now he's kind of... God dang it. Right, so he's... That's not where I want him, but where he's going. He's gone again, yay! Maybe if I just move the map.
I did see him moving. It was a little jerky, but yep, I see him moving.
Okay, for the listener, I erased the guard like 10 times until I got the bright idea to just zoom out of the map and move it upwards on my screen, away from the trash can. Okay, so he's searching. He knows he's kind of supposed to be on the lookout for you and Todd, but he would see Todd and he would immediately spot Todd and recognize him because he's not wearing a disguise. So he's kind of blocking your path. So do you want to kind of like walk up to him and talk to him, or do you want to try to avoid him?
Has Marigold and Todd, have they noticed his pattern, his walking pattern, or his patrol route, or is he firmly planted in front of this male?
No, he's doing like a patrol route. So for the listener, he kind of is there. I guess it's kind of the southwest side of town, but he's in a road towards the southwest. He moves east, and then up north, and then he moves. He's just circling the block. Then he moves west, and then south, and so on. So he's just sort of circling. So he's just kind of doing these.
Got it. So it's probably best for Marigold and Todd to kind of wait for this guard to go around the block, maybe turn the corner before they head to that the mail room,
Okay.
the mail station. So I think they'll probably wait, and the post office is pretty close to them, so it's not a very far walk for them to get in.
Okay, so the guard, he's circling the block. There's like a little pirate guy who is to the west near the entrance, and he starts to kind of walk south. He was towards the west entrance, but he's walking south. Kind of, he sees the guard coming, and I mean, this isn't a pirate that was arrested for anything, but he is kind of not exactly someone who is usually on the good side of the law. He's usually he's got a record, so even if he hasn't committed a crime, he just tends to avoid law enforcement. So he starts to kind of move away from where the guard was coming. So we're just gonna plant them right there for now.
Okay. Well, it looks like Todd should probably make it to the post office while Marigold kind of distracts the guard. It seems like it would be best for them to avoid that pirate, because at least Marigold has the guard disguise to fool the guards, but I don't think Marigold or Todd are going to fool the pirates that are looking for them. So I think Marigold's going to usher Todd towards the post office before the pirate gets in line of sight of them, and then Marigold is going to go speak to the guard himself, acting like another guard, and just asking the guard to catch him up on how his day is going and how his duties are.
Alright, so Sam, you can actually move the character, so if you want to click there's on Owlbear Rodeo, there's these symbols for the listener. The move tool is just a hand that's on the screen, so you're going to move him, then, okay. So you're going to talk to the guard, correct?
Yes.
Alright, so you're going to, first, before you do that, go ahead and roll a charisma check, just to see deception or whatever, and then go ahead and add +2. We're going to make this just like an average roll.
I rolled 20.
Okay, so you got a nat 20, so
beginner's luck.
So even though your guard's uniform isn't completely perfect, some things are out of place. It's not necessarily maybe put on in all the right places. Your armor might be turned around kind of on backwards or whatever. You just kind of look like a fool. This guard in particular doesn't seem to notice. Well, actually he does notice. He goes, "I must have been one of those nights, huh, man?" No, kind of nodding towards your armor. And I must have been out late at the pub. I've been there before.
And Marigold hastily shifts his armor to try to resemble the guard as much as possible. Yeah, man. You know how it goes.
Yeah, and then the guard, he says, "Well, it looks like you missed a spot," and he kind of grabs the armor and he kind of helps you kind of like straighten out your uniform so it looks more authentic and looks better. And he kind of takes a rag out and he spits on it and kind of polishes a piece there, like kind of there, and he goes, "There, now you look perfect." So now you look just about as authentic as you possibly can. He's like, "Say, I haven't seen you around here before. Are you new? You new to the job?"
Yes, I'm very new to the job. I was hired because I heard the pirate presence in town has increased. Can you please fill me in, because they weren't able to go over the training process with me. I'm pretty green here.
Oh yeah, we get pirates in here all the time. Kind of turn a blind eye. This is one of their favorite towns to come drink and spend some of their hard-earned or hard-stolen gold, and there's quite a bit right now, but that's mostly because of the pirate conference that's coming up. Although, in St. Josephine, that scoundrel, he's managed to get himself in trouble, and he's locked up with and some of these other pirates. just, roaming around kind of listlessly. They don't really have anything to do at this point, and they've been kind of stirring up some trouble.
Wow, a pirate conference. What is that like? Is that like an annual thing for this town?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it used to happen in another town about 2 years ago, but the pirates ended up kind of getting burned to the ground, and they've kind of moved it here. But uh, we we tend to be on pretty good terms with them, and this is probably the second one we've hosted.
Wow, that is wild. I've never heard of anything like that, but that is why they hired me. They heard you guys needed a little extra muscle in case the looting and pillaging got a little out of hand this year. Um, what do we do if we come across these pirates?
Unless you see them committing any sort of crimes, we just try to sort of ignore them. Let them do their thing. If they get drunk on the street, we just, maybe throw them in a jail cell for the night and let them sleep it off. But as long as they're not, you know, cutting anybody's throats, we tend to just ignore them.
Oh wow, that's really helpful info. I'm really glad you let me know that. They really didn't train me or equip me with what I needed to be a great guard in this town, such as yourself. Is it possible you have like an extra key to the jail or anything? They really didn't give me anything, and I couldn't throw a ruffian in there if I wanted to.
Uh, Sorry, I only have the one. I gotta keep it for myself.
Got it, got it. What was your name by chance, good sir?
My name is, um, my name is Kyle.
Wow, Kyle. I am thankful for all your help. I've been trying to keep in contact with my love from out of town, and I haven't received any letters back ever since I got here. About how long does the mail take in these parts to get here?
Well, we're kind of on the edge of the county seat here, so it takes quite a while. Usually takes about 7 days to get a letter from one side of the county to the other. Because there's nothing, that's there's no sort of like driving machine that people can use to get things moving. But if you got enough gold, you might be able to get one of those new fancy homing pigeons that I hear so much about, and maybe fly your letter across town.
Pigeons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I told a buddy of mine at work, like, this thing is never gonna work out. It's just this new technology nowadays, pigeons. Who's ever heard of such a thing? It's crazy to me.
yeah, I mean, one day you and what can they really carry? I mean, I'm trying to send her some gold or send for some gold. Actually, I misspoke. I'm sorry, but I can't see a pigeon carrying gold for me very far.
Me neither. That's why I always send my stuff through regular old mail with the horse and a guy or whatever.
Yeah, you need a horse and a guy for mail. There's no other type of mail will ever work other than a horse and a guy. Uh, is it possible for you to introduce me to some other guards? I really haven't met anyone around town.
Yeah, sure. If you want to just follow me, I'll direct you to the other guard.
All right.
So, you want to follow him around then?
Yeah, I think now that Marigold knows he and Todd probably have to stay here for at least 7 days before um, they get any money. They're probably going to pay off people who are sorry, that's just really loud.
Oh, you can
Um,
turn the music down on your end. If it's
oh no,
too
the
much.
train. I hear like a
Oh,
train.
oh, yeah, that's my bad. Sorry.
No, you're good. I figured it's gonna get cut out anyway, so I just was gonna wait for it to stop. But
It's 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 for the ambiance.
exactly. that
I don't have
good old rail sound in the background that cuts the mail down to 1 day travel time. So yeah, I think Marigold realizes that he and Todd are going to have to spend at least 2 weeks in this town if they're going to get any gold. If they want to leave town, they probably could leave town, but who knows where the gold they sent for will show up. So now they somehow have to survive in this town for 2 weeks. One to get the mail out, one to get the mail back. So I think given the incredible luck that Marigold stumbled into with that random nat 20 out of nowhere, it probably helps to befriend some guards in this town, especially with the pirates that are looking for them.
So are you going to leave Todd at the post office as you go meet some other guards?
I think that's the best course of action. Does Marigold have any way of communicating with Todd? Do they have any telepathic messaging cantrips, or they have nothing? But Todd is dumb and lazy, I assume. So I assume he'll just stay at the post office until Marigold shows back up to escort.
Yeah,
and
he's kind of a smooth.
Sorry to interrupt. I just assume that Todd's probably not going to do much without Marigold. So
Probably not. I mean, he's a smooth talker. He's sending a letter. He's kind of full of himself. So assuming he doesn't assuming he doesn't do something stupid, he's not gonna. He'll probably just end up talking the person's ear off. He might even forget to send the letter, just because he'll get too caught up in himself. He's people know who he is. Like he's kind of a celebrity, so people don't mind hearing him talk about himself, since that's what celebrity is.
He is an influencer whenever he serves, so he's influencing people.
He's talking about whey protein shakes right now, and what the best brand is, and as well as the best hair care products and that sort of thing. So
that is, I don't know what this, like, if the setting is truly medieval or what, but I'm sure any kind of cow product would be great in either edible or wearable form. So
yeah, I mean that's a bit of hyperbole, but he's just being arrogant and talking about stupid stuff that arrogant people talk about. This makes me sound like I'm classist, like I have a thing against Instagram influencers, whereas I'd love to be against them and influential and make a bunch of money for it. So I'm only a hater because I secretly wish I was the thing I hate the most.
it's true. You did try to influence me to drink goat milk, unpasteurized goat milk in the past, so
it's pretty good. I mean, my argument for it is not a sound argument. It was, I never got sick from it, so it shouldn't be that bad. I mean, I'm an N of 1, so it seems
it's 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
yeah, I think Marigold wants to kind of get in with the guards since it's worked so far, and I think he is pretty scared of those pirates.
Okay, so the guard, he kind of brings you over here, and he's introducing you to this guy. This pirate over here is kind of still making the rounds, and then this one is also kind of walking this way, kind of closing in sort of on Todd's location. So we have a pirate. He was moving south, and then they turned the corner to move east towards a post office where Todd is located at, which is the southeast side of town. And the site, for the listener, the town is kind of like this crescent moon shape. So Todd is sort of at the bottom of the crescent moon. And then we have another pirate who is moving south, from north to south. So, right. So Kyle, the guard, he introduces you to another guard. And this guard, he doesn't recognize you, so you have to, I guess, you start giving him your spiel, and I want you to roll charisma again, But this time, go ahead and add +3 since Kyle kind of made you look nice. He kind of helped your uniform. So we're gonna see if this other guard buys your tail. So
Sounds good. I haven't rolled many dice in real life, given that we've always used D&D and Beyond, and it has a dice rolling feature. This thing hit a 20, so let's see if this one is just you. This is actually a die you bought me as a wedding gift. So let's see if this is just a weighted dice that I have over here. And we got an 8, so it's 11.
right. So this other guard who Kyle introduced you to, his name is I don't know. I'm trying to think of a name. Sam. Sure.
I was saying Stan.
Oh, Stan. Stanish Mick Booger. Oh, give him a silly name. Stanish McBooger. Kyle introduces you to Stanish, and he is not buying your tail. And he says, in fact, you look kind of familiar. You look like one of the prisoners that might have escaped. So, Sam, how does Marigold react to this?
So, I don't know how smart Marigold is. It looks like int is his dump stat. But I think Marigold knows how to survive, having been in and out of prison and being part of a improv troupe named Duke Boys. So I think he's gonna try to leverage his newfound friend Kyle's faith in him and say, like, no, I'm a new recruit. I was told there was a pirate convention in town and that you needed extra security. Kyle here can vouch for me, and if you don't believe me, you can, I know some famous people in town. We can maybe go talk to them. But
Who would that famous person be? Stanish asks.
just double check. Is Todd the Heroic also considered to be a criminal by these guards?
Is, yep. You broke him out of his prison, but he was rich, so he just kind of used that to his advantage and just got put on he was on house arrest at a resort. He just rented out a resort for himself and was staying there.
Oh, okay. So I think Marigold's just gonna run with it and say he's the personal guard hired by Todd the Heroic, and he's hired by the town, but he's also hired by the town to protect Todd the Heroic from the pirate ruffians out there. Because you can't have a prisoner. I mean, it's one thing to have a prisoner and have a prisoner under house arrest, but it's another thing to have a prisoner under house arrest murdered. That looks really bad for the town, for the guard company.
Yeah, but didn't Todd just escape capture? I mean, I'm pretty sure his hired thug, Marigold Thundercrack, just broke him out of the Heaven's Rest and Resort he was at. Is that?
Oh, nonsense. First of all, what kind of name is Marigold Thundercrack? And secondly, I was hired to take him to the post office and keep him there while he mails people letters so that the guards of this good town could get paid. Don't you want to get paid? We were supposed to be getting paid to protect Marigold Thundercrack. That's what the guard captain told me.
The Stanish, he's kind of not super convinced by your story, and you see a hand slowly reaching for his blade.
To be fair, I'm not convinced of my story either. So,
so he's starting to reach. You see him starting to reach for his blade. He's not doing it fast, but he's got a hand on the hilt, basically, ready, kind of getting ready in case this turns into something nasty. And then as this is kind of your conversation is kind of happening, the pirates keep kind of moving this way, and you hear. Well, I guess Todd's not really within your earshot, but Todd, he's kind of talking to the postal person and having a laugh or two at his own expense. They don't seem to be entirely aware of the situation with him. One of these pirates, they kind of go into the building to actually, I guess they're mailing, sending some mail to Sweetie, or possibly, just doing whatever, some sort of piratey business. And they recognize Todd, and Todd immediately flees the location that you had left him at, kind of running on this road. For the listener, he's running west away from the post office. Another pirate chases after him, running west. And pirate, she's a pirate woman who's moving south. She spots a pirate that is chasing after Todd, and then also begins to pursue our hero, Todd the Heroic, the Mighty. Sam, it's your move.
Before Stanish is able to reach for his sword, Marigold sees Todd down the street in his eye line and says, "Hey, look, there's Todd the Heroic right now. We should go make sure he stays in the place where he's meant to be under house arrest. I don't know what he's doing out on the street." And Marigold immediately runs toward Todd, fearful that Todd's this far down the street, there's probably pirates in pursuit.
Alright, so Todd provides just enough distraction for Stanish. Like, Stanish was really kind of concerned with you, but after, Todd kind of took the focus off of you, and now he is following behind you in pursuit to kind of come after and potentially save Todd from the pirates, or, put him to arrest him again. So, the pirates, the Kyle and Stanish, they're moving south down the map, and the pirates, they jump on Todd, and one of them is trying to seize this necklace from him as the other one's trying to beat him down. But before they can beat him down, they spot you, the guards, or you in guard's uniform, and the other two guards that you'd be kind of befriended at this point. Yeah.
So, Marigold sees this happen and turns to Kyle and Stanish and says, "Quick, we must disarm these ruffians. It looks like the looting and pillaging of the pirate convention has started even before the convention has taken place." And Marigold kind of beckons Kyle and Stanish to help him fight off the pirates.
So you guys come to the pirates, and I'm gonna have you as well as the guards are gonna all roll for initiative. Well, actually, one pirate idiotically decides to stand and face you guys. He's a little bit. He's got a bit of bravado. He's feeling a little confident. Maybe he's a new, younger pirate. Thinks he's got something to prove. Whereas the other pirate, she flees east down the road, not wanting to be arrested for whatever reason. So now it's basically, in Todd, he's completely useless. So he kind of runs behind a building or whatever to hide from, not hide, but he kind of ducks behind something to get away from the fight. So now it's 3 against 1 against this one pirate. So Sam, I'm gonna have you roll for initiative, as well as I'm going to roll for initiative for the guards and the pirate. So go ahead and just it's just d20 plus dex mod, which is so. Just go ahead and hold that.
So it looks like I got a 15, and the dex mod is +1.
Okay, so it'd be a 16.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna just write that down real quick. 16. The pirate, he has a 17. So, and I'll just roll once for the guards. There's a lot of guards. Guards are useless. The guards roll 2. Okay, so the pirate, he recognizes you because your disguise isn't really fooling too many pirates in this situation, and he targets you with his first attack. So he is going to use a scimitar that he has on his person and take a swing at you.
Alright.
So he rolled a 17. So what's your armor, Sam?
It is 14.
Okay, so he swings at you with his scimitar, and as he's swinging for you and looking to kind of do some damage, he's coming down towards your trap or your clavicle or something, and he's gonna really do some damage here. One of the town guards, it's actually probably Stanish McBooger, he kind of steps in the way and he blocks the blade with his own sword, deflecting the scimitar. Well, he has a spear, but he sticks his spear out and he blocks the scimitar from coming down at you, off of you. And so the first round, nothing happens, but he's kind of thwarted by this guard. Now it's your turn, Sam, to attack. Keep in mind you have disadvantage on just about everything because you're poisoned and you have a damaged hand. Speaking of which, Sam, your character looks a little green. How is he feeling right now with all this action?
I think he's feeling a little sick. And you said Todd was pretty useless.
Yes.
I believe. So he's not feeling great, but he knows he has to handle this pirate, and he's thankful that Stanish kind of saved him from a deep wound, but he does want Stanish to potentially pursue the other pirate running away, because not only did she see his face, but he kind of wants Stanish to not be around, given Stanish's suspicion. So he tells Stanish, thanks, but you didn't have to. Kyle and I can handle this ruffian. You should go after the pirate that's getting away.
Gotcha. So, I guess before we proceed, I should have mentioned earlier at the top of the show that our last guest, he chose... So you have these different martial roles that you can assume, and our last guest, the option to pick for you in this game, and they pick Second Wind, so you have access to that role as well.
Cool.
Oh, you're telling Stanish to go after Todd, correct?
Yeah, that's the first thing I do. I don't know if that takes an action. I would hope not.
It's just a conversation. Stanish, he thinks it's a good idea. He's got to protect the prisoner. He's a high-valued person, and it would reflect poorly on the town if.
Sorry, I said for him to go after the pirate.
Oh, I see. Yep. Okay. So he's going after the pirate, and he's chasing her down the street, going east. So now Stanish has left your side, and it's you and Kyle. What are you guys doing?
So I think, since Kyle is Marigold's biggest fan, Marigold turns to Kyle and says, and to kind of butter him up a little bit to keep the clever ruse running. He says, I know we didn't need extra help to fight him. I bet you can handle him on your own. But he also doesn't want the pirate saying anything to Kyle. So he takes, he equips his knuckle duster and he swings for the throat of the pirate.
Okay, so go ahead and roll your d20 plus, I believe it's 4. So roll your d20 and add 4, and we'll see if it hits.
Oh, got a nat 20 again.
All right, so you're the second. So the last guest rolled 2 nat 20s on his turn. So this is becoming like a theme apparently of the show. So, but he was using digital dice, and you're using real dice. So
using 3 different d20s.
Okay. So you roll your nat 20. You hit him in the throat. So describe to me what's happening. How are you? I guess describe to me how you're swinging at this guy, and I guess how it feels to be beating on this guy.
So Marigold, he's a simple guy. He's lived his life as a henchman, as a bodyguard, as a prisoner. He doesn't live in a world where there is a TV, but Marigold has dreams, and in his dreams, he envisions animated figures fighting with each other, possibly very big eyes and very large mouths, and they scream noises as they do different attacks, and he imagines himself yelling, "Throw the puncher!" as he punches towards the guard's neck with his brass knuckles. Not a lot of people can survive a punch to the throat, let alone a metal punch to the throat.
Guard or the pirate?
Sorry, the pirate. He definitely does not punch Kyle. That would be hilarious. It would be awful at the same time.
Alright, so go ahead and roll your d4 and add 2.
D4. Let's find that D4.
How much damage you do this guy?
You got me a lot of dice, but I don't think you got me a D4.
It's a triangle, like a pyramid.
Switch. Yes, 1d4.
Okay.
And I'm supposed to go with the top, the one facing me. Sorry, I've just never rolled a d4.
You just roll it. Yeah, it's the top one.
The top one, I got a 4.
Okay, and then add 2, so 6.
6.
Alright, so you do 6 damage to the pirate. You collapse his throat and he falls to the ground. He's unable to talk and he needs to catch his breath. And so he's on the ground. And now the guard, Kyle, he proves himself to be sort of ruthless, and he's like, "Huh, you like that?" And he starts talking trash. He's like, "You dirty, stinking pirate." And let's see what he does. He's got his spear out. He rolled a 15. So Kyle is a bit of a sadist, and he doesn't stab, I would say, pirate, because that'd be bad, and it might kind of send the wrong message to the pirate community about Cutlass Hollow, and they might not take kindly to that and want to pillage the town. So he flips the spear over so that it's the blunt end, the end without the blade, and he starts to kind of like dig it down into the downed pirates, like kind of down around his shoulder and just like in different parts to like add additional pain to him. And so he's gonna roll a d4 because he's not really trying to kill the guy, but he's just trying to mess him up quite a bit. And rolls 3, and then I'm gonna add 1, so he does another additional 4 damage to kind of put the pirate in more agony. So the pirate's it would be the pirate's turn, but he's in a lot of pain, and as he's kind of screaming in pain, Kyle, he throws you a pair of handcuffs and he tells you to put them on the pirate.
So Marigold quickly cuffs the pirate as fast as he can, and then he looks to Kyle and says, "Great work. I knew we could do this. I believe in you so much. I think you can handle this ruffian, and I will go check on that prisoner that we're guarding." And Marigold tries to run off to rendezvous with Todd.
Okay. So you want to move your character over to Todd?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so you meet up with Todd and you see Kyle walking off towards jail or whatever. Do you have anything you want to say to Todd?
So Marigold fills Todd in as quickly and in as few words as possible that he tried to make good with the guards. He tried to get them on his side, and some are on his side and some are suspicious of him. They know about, Todd potentially escaping. They know about Marigold, even though he has this disguise on. And he lets Todd know that one of the pirates is going to jail, and the second pirate, there's another pirate out there who's being pursued by the apprehensive guard, and that it's going to take potentially 14 days for them to get the gold. So he asked Todd, if he thinks it's worth it to try to stay under arrest for another 14 days and then break out, or lie low within the city, or if they should just make a run for it.
So Todd, he's like, I'm nothing without my money. I need my money. It's the only thing that, has been a constant my whole life. I just feel so naked. I only got this really expensive necklace and these 10 gold rings on my hands right now. And, that's just not enough. I need more money. So I think we should wait it out. If we can somehow, find a little shack or something we can live in, or, make our way somewhere and hide out, then yeah, I think it's worth it.
Well, I don't think Stanish has survived with that money, but he also knows Todd is kind of a... It's going to be hard to rough it with Todd, basically. Like, I think if he sold that stuff, they could get some money, possibly make it on their own. But, Todd is constantly just talking about money and Dagon, and so I think they now begin a search for a place to stay and lay low.
Okay. Do you want to try to persuade Todd to sell his stuff? See if he'll sell some of it off?
Yeah, I think it would make sense for Marigold being the practical guy and the poison guy, and the guy who just tried to do all these somewhat impractical schemes. Say, hey, can you just sell your stuff off and can we get out of here? I don't think we're going to get any gold, and 2 weeks is a long time. You can either go back under house arrest and we can play it safe that way, or maybe you can sell the goods and we can get out.
Okay. So, let's see if you can persuade Todd. So I want you to roll hard, see hard DCs, which is 18, and see if you're able to persuade Todd. Charisma.
All right, this is the only die that hasn't rolled a 20 yet, so let's see. It's time to shine. I got a very solid 5.
All right. I was gonna say I'm not in the same room with you, so you could potentially just be saying, "Yeah, I got 20." Yeah. We just have a whole game of you getting crits.
It's like,
okay.
You roll for initiative, 20. Roll for attack, 20. Are you even rolling? Like, yeah. I rolled ahead of time. I got 120. It applies to all my rolls for the rest of the game.
All right, Todd. he's like, I could never sell off jewelry. This jewelry, it was something that my grandmother's stepsister's father's brother, uncle. He just gives you this long line of like meaningless, why it's important to him, and it's just like a long line of people that make no sense. It's just and he's just like, I can't get rid of this stuff. It's just, I'll look like a poor person. It's like, it's bad enough I don't have money right now, but I'll look like a complete poor person if I sell off this jewelry, sell off my rings, my necklace, and these clothes that, are valued, in the thousands of gold, thousands of thousands of dollars.
Supreme on them.
They all say Supreme on them. He's like, I can't be without my things. He's a materialist.
Yes, very much so. All right. So, do you want to go back into house arrest and let me try to gain favor of these guards and wait out this pirate convention? Hopefully, this pirate convention doesn't last 2 weeks, but we should definitely hide from these pirates if we're gonna stay here.
He's like, no, he's like, I don't want to go back in house arrest. The caterer, they got me. He was the worst. Like I told him that I wanted salami on my sandwich, and he put ham, and it's just, it's unbearable. And the hot tub that they had, it was just like they couldn't get the temperature right. I can't stand to be there. Like I need to go somewhere, somewhere else. I can't stand to be in that place any longer.
Marigold runs his fingers over his trusty knuckle duster, just thinking about how much easier his life would be if he used a heroic throw to Punchu smash on Todd the Heroic. But he sadly is resigned to his fate of having to find a new place to hide with Todd. So they begin their search, hopefully away from pirates and guards.
Okay.
And place of refuge for 2 weeks.
Okay, so go ahead and feel free to move them in a direction. We'll let the boards lay as it is right now for now, since these guards kind of just did their thing, moving around.
Gotcha. So I think it's probably best for Marigold and Todd to head away from Standish McBooger and the pirate he's chasing, and also the place that Todd was under house arrest. It's probably not a great idea to stick around there. There's a wooded area over here. I'm just gonna put my character there is that wooded enough to hide in, or is that just like literally 4 trees?
I would say it's sort of like a park,
Oh, okay. So that's...
There's some trees there, but it's kind of a recreational area.
Got it. So it's probably not the best idea to get the Instagram or the Pigeongram influencer hiding as a homeless person in the park. So they begin looking for some sort of tavern or other place to hide out in. Is there a tavern by the path that they're going down currently?
So let's see. Look at the taverns. Okay, so pretty much there's only 2 places to drink in this place. One of them is the place you burned down, which would be number 1 on the map. Number 1 for the listener is, it's the northwest part of town, so it's probably a few blocks away. And the other place is number 11, which is at the very tip of town. It's very northern. It's the northernmost building in town, and that is it's kind of like it's like a bar where law enforcement goes to drink. They have these. It was kind of established There because, guards they'll guard the gates, and it's near one of the gates, and when they get off duty, they'll go drink and then go home and sleep it off. So,
Okay.
and for the listener, the tavern you burned down is called the Black Eye Tavern. If we have any new listeners, and the other place is just called the Guard House. It's a bar. So,
Okay. And just for reference, what was number 7, number 5 on the map? It looks like 7 is kind of a ways down from the post office, and it's marked, and it's a large building.
So 7 is a shipyard. It's just a place where ships are they're repaired or built. It's kind of a big deal in this town. And then you said 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 5, which that is kind of like a town square. It's like a gathering area. So it's that's maybe like some sort of religious idol or fountain or something that people kind of gather around and do their thing, maybe performance or two or whatever. So it's kind of a center of town area.
And is like the number 3, the large building next to number 5, is that like a church or temple?
So 3 it's a government building. It's the police station and the jail. So it's actually where you yourself escaped from.
Oh, holy crap. So there's like nowhere in this town to hide.
Well, there's 2 like housing developments in town.
Okay.
So there is a place called Ravenwood Condominiums. It's for rich people. That would be number 6. Number 6 for the listener. It's kind of in the center of the map. It's the northeast sort of part of the map, upper northeast part, but it's kind of located in the center. And then the other development is called... What is it called? Did I rename it? Oh, it's called Peninsula Estates. So that's number 4, which for the listener is the northwest, and it's actually right next to the rich condominiums area. So and I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, being from Flint, and Sam is also from Flint, that's where we grew up, a lot of the lower income places, they always call them like some place estates, Shady Grove or Shady Brook Estates, and so that's where the inspiration for the name comes from. So
Would do you think Todd has enough on him to get into Ravenwood condominiums, or is he gonna have to make the Shadywood Estates?
Well, he doesn't have any actual money on him, but his family is like extremely rich. So if you could either coerce him or like force or like use some sort of force to make him just pawn like anything at this point, he probably could get like an Airbnb at or the equivalent of an Airbnb at the any one of these places. So
okay. And just to double check, we're around number 13 on the map right now. What is number 13?
That's an exit, technically, but there'd be guards, like a guard on the wall. So
guard tower.
Yeah, it kind of exits kind of just right into the wilderness. So if you're looking to just exit right into the wilderness, you could probably make your way that way, and then that would not be your problem anymore. It'd be the next player's problem. So
I think
additionally,
at this point, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, additionally, Todd, since he is his clothes, just the silks and the fabrics that he's wearing are quite valuable. So Todd doesn't mind being the weird pantless guy. He could probably even just like pawn off his pants or shirt or something, and he could probably get a room at one of these, like rent out a house for a period of time. Not like super long, but not as long as maybe the jewelry would last them, but it would maybe kind of relieve some of that pressure as well. But he'd look kind of strange. So
got it. So it looks like Marigold and Todd are in a location that they can see that Ravenwood condominiums exists, and they can see that beyond Ravenwood condominiums is the Guard Tavern. Above to the west is the Shady Grove Estates, and Shady Grove Estates, if that's the right name, I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's right across from the bar they burned down earlier, the tavern. So they definitely don't want to stay at Shady Grove Estates, and Todd also probably is going to make a big fuss about staying there, given his rich boy status. So Marigold turns to Todd and says, "Look, we're either going to have to convince them to let you stay at the Ravenwood condominiums, or you're going to have to sell something on you. What's it going to be, Todd? I know that's the only place in town we can really stay."
Todd, he's seems a little insulted by the suggestion. But let's see if you've been convincing enough. Can you roll Constitution? We'll just do DC 15.
I'll grab the die that never rolled a 20. See if it can redeem itself for 3 20s in one game. It rolled a mighty 7. I'm not feeling it. Right.
All right. So that Todd, he's not super convinced by that. You guys don't really have any other choice, do you? So
yeah, there's really no other choice. We can either pawn this off and stay at a nice place, or I can try to get you to go back to the place where you were under house arrest, but we don't have any other options given your bougie living status.
Well, I guess there's one thing I haven't considered yet, Marigold. I could sign a few autographs and see if that makes a difference. Autographs sell for quite a bit on the market, on the collector's market.
And,
he presents you this option. Do you feel enraged that he's only now telling you this, or what's your feeling?
I think Marigold doesn't believe him, but he knows that he has this impossible to please benefactor. So he says, "Fine, let's go sell autographs. Let's see if it does anything." He thinks maybe, they won't sell, and this will humble Todd a little bit to parting with his rings.
All right. So that's going to conclude our actual play, Sam. And before I let you go and we start, recording for the interview portion, you don't have any cash on you currently, but there is a podcast store where you get to choose for the next player their martial role include, and then also you have the option to sell equipment if you'd like at this moment, or buy equipment with the gold you have. So you don't have any gold, but you might be able to do some. I'll let you look at the store and you can kind of make these decisions. So you'll be making them for the next person. I'm just going to send the link in the general.
Okay.
So if you'd like to open up that podcast store, go for it.
All right. So I think I see the martial roll. I think second wind sounds great. I'm going to leave that as is. I'm slightly distracted because I see that your icon image is from my wedding, which is nice.
Yeah, sorry.
I see I could potentially level up, but with no gold, there is no leveling, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then, because there is no gold, is there anything else I could do other than the martial role related stuff? Because it looks like no level nor items or armor could be bought
So if you see the armor or the weapon you have currently, chain shirt and longsword, you could
Okay.
sell them for half their value right now if you wanted to, and then you would have 50 gold.
Got it. And this is only towards buying. This is only towards buying stuff at this store, or is this gold that they could potentially use to get residents?
They could probably use it to get residents. You're just equipping them with money later, so it's I don't know. I see it as kind of like a video game inventory management type system.
Got it.
You can like for the listener, there's like a store. Sam has the options to like pay for levels if you wanted to level his character up, or he could buy weapons or sell weapons, buy armor, sell weapons, or buy various potions and little knickknacks. So,
And just to double check, how much is the chain mail? How much armor is that providing, or chain shirt?
so I'd have to look it up. Actually, if you click on the link, it should be a link, and it should.
Awesome. Looks like the chain shirt gives an armor class of 13 plus dex modifier, which is 1, so that gets you to 14. I'm sorry, I'm just like trying to go through everything.
That's fine.
And
I'll edit out the long pauses.
yeah, exactly. All right, so I will have Marigold sell his chain shirt, which is getting him currently 14 armor. I'm gonna have him sell that for 50 gold pieces.
Oh, he'll get 25. He'll get half of that since it's.
He'll get half. Shoot, because I was gonna have him sell that and try to buy the ring mail, which is also 14, and then use the 20 gold on just so many ball bearings. He would have so many. He would have 20,000 ball bearings, and he would just be able to use a lot of ball bearings. Maybe he plays the kids on the street for keeps. I don't know. Maybe he throws them at people. Maybe he trips some guards up. But at the moment, Marigold's too poor to literally do anything. So he's gonna do nothing.
I was gonna say if you bought those ball bearings, it'd give me plenty of opportunities to use the Benny Hill theme in
Exactly.
future episodes.
Yes, that's what I was going for. I think in our first like 2 sessions or something like that, I just threw ball bearings everywhere because I had nothing else. But yeah, it looks like Marigold's too poor to change anything, and with his poison status and without the Deus Ex Jared coming in and saving him from clavicle piercing, he probably needs to keep that second wind. So maybe he'll get lucky with the throw punch who improve critical down the road, but I think we should probably leave Marigold as he is. He's had a hard day of trying to con people with really bad improv scenes, and I was really expecting to try to use Scenes of a Hat somewhere if you didn't have the action coming in. But yeah, I think Marigold's good as he stands. Can't really afford to do much.
Okay, great. Well, that ends it for the my first episode with Sam, my friend Sam Hefty, on the Chat Dragon Pod. This is Jared signing off. Here.